Morning folks, welcome to the channel. Well, the weather's not too great at the moment. We've got quite a few days of rain, and as you know, the country's been lashed with storms at the moment, so it's not exactly outdoor weather. So what I'm going to do today, I'm making a review and testing a new product I bought. So here it is. It's the Buddew Lunch Box stroke food heater. It's a 70 kilowatt heater, can be used on the mains, 240 volt, 230 volt, or 12 volt, 24 volt. So it's got, dual uses. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through the dimensions of the product, show you the accessories and the contents and a brief explanation of how to use it. And then I'm actually going to do some tests in the kitchen. I'm going to cook two identical tinned meals, one off of the 240 volt and the other via my power station 12 volt. So yes, let's crack on with it. It's quite small. It weighs in about 950 grams. Actually, that's with everything in it, all the accessories I'm going to show you. And if you put it into the thermal bag that's supplied with it, it's just on 1 kilogram. So it's not too heavy. It's quite compact. Right, so we got 4 catches to open the lid, and then it just completely lifts off. So you just got a plastic lid. If I put this down on the top, turn it upside down, you've got a small cutlery compartment, and they supply a fork and a spoon with it, so that can be stowed in there, or you can use your own. Shut that up, and you've got a little steam vent. Now at the moment it's closed, it's mushroomed. If I push it down, what it does, it pops up the other way, and now it actually is a steam vent, which you have to open when you're using the food heater. Well, I'll put that aside for the moment. Now onto the accessories. As I said, you have got this little thermal insulated bag. It's quite thin, but it's absolutely ideal. Got a couple of carry handles and a little netted compartment in there. So yeah, it's not too bad. In the actual kit, they've supplied you with a little plastic dish, which is not for cooking, it's for storing stuff and then cooking. You have a 12-24 volt connector, and you have the, for us in the UK, the 240 volt connector, and also a very brief instruction manual. It's not rocket science, but you have got a manual there just in case. You have a stainless steel, quite lightweight tray to cook in, and then there's your heater plate at the bottom. And I think it's common sense, but you do not submerge this in water. There is a heating tray, and there is the cooking element and thermistors underneath that, so it'll absolutely destroy it. So it's just take this out, wash this. This can be washed properly, and this is just wiped down with a damp cloth, obviously not plugged in. Right, on the right hand side as you look at it, there's a small rubber cover. It's not waterproof, but it is splash proof. As I said, it shouldn't be immersed in water. And you have the 12-24 volt connector on the left and the 240 volt on the right. So, and that's labelled up there. Well, it isn't actually on the thing, so it is best to leave the label on if you don't think you're going to remember it. So basically you can plug in either one of them and use it as such. Let's just close that up. On the front, there's a neon light. So basically when you plug it in and you switch it on, it just lights up just to show you it's powered on. It's as simple as that. That's all that is. Just a light to say that it's actually in the on position. Okay, so I'm just going to shut the 4 catches, and then I'll go into the dimensions. And I have to use my cheat sheet for this, so excuse me. So the external dimensions, and I'm including the catches because they do stick out. All 4 of them stick out. So the total external dimensions are 24 centimeters long, which is approximately 9.5 inches. 17.5 centimetres wide, which is 6.9 inches, and the depth, the total depth, is 12 centimetres, which is 4.7 inches. Now the internal dimensions. So let's just put it down. Okay, internal dimensions. The length is 21 centimetres, which is 8.5 inches. The width is 14.5 centimetres, which is approximately 5.5 inches. And the depth is 6.5 centimetres, which is approximately 2.5 inches. So that's all the measurements and the weight. So the next stage is to actually get this out in the kitchen and run some tests. Now, before I start the tests, just a couple of other things. It does come in 3 colours. It comes in grey, green and yellow, and that basically is the catches, the cover, and you have got these neat little handles on it. They do seem slightly flimsy, but only time will tell with that. So you've got 3 colours. This is available on Amazon, and what I will do, I will put the product link in the description below. So on to the tests. Right, I'll be carrying out 2 tests, one today, or one this morning, and one tomorrow morning, because I cannot eat 2 of these meals in one day. I'll be using a tinned meal, which is one of the, it's an all-day breakfast. It's basically 400 grams. And I will be I'll be bringing it up to a temperature of 70 degrees C or plus 70 degrees C, which is the reheat minimum standard in the UK. Obviously, I would prefer to get it hotter, but if I get it up to 70 degrees C and it can maintain that for 2 minutes, it actually conforms to standards. The 2 tests will be with it plugged into the mains, which is 240 volt here, which I assume it will heat a lot quicker than the second test. And the second test will be with my power station, a 12 volt supply. That will be tomorrow, which I assume will be a lot slower. That is probably the way I'll be using it 90% of the time if I was camping in my large air tent, heating it in my car, or when my micro camper's done, which I think it will get quite a lot of use in that when I'm using it in the micro camper, it'll be off the power station. Right, so let's get it out in the kitchen and get the first test started. The product we're using is Hunger Breaks All Day Breakfast. It's actually 395 gram tin. It's basically sausages, meatballs and beans, so there's a sort of a mixture of textures there. I've already put it in, so I'm going to snap down the lid in a minute. I've checked the temperature with a thermometer, and in its cold position, in its cold state, it was 19.5. The room temperature is currently 22.1, so there's about 1.6 degrees C difference. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave it running for about 20 minutes, test it, stir it, check the temperature. I'll bring you back then, and if necessary, then I'll leave it till 30 minutes and we'll retest it. Well, we'll get the lid on now. Close all 4 handles. Open the steam vent. Switch it on. The little neon lights on. And we'll come back in 30 minutes, check the temperature, give it a stir. Let's see how it's getting on. Well, we're now 20 minutes into the test. So let's take a look. My word, that's piping hot, a lot of steam and condensation on the handle. Check the temperature. It's already gone well past 70 degrees C. We're up 82, 83, 84. Whoa, it's still going. So that is well and truly cooked. Now that's 20 minutes, so you'll probably find within 15 minutes off of the mains electricity, it's topping out at 80, about 86 and rising. So yeah, that's very, very good indeed. In fact, if anything, you could say I left it too long. Well, what I've decided to do is go ahead with test 2. I'm too impatient to leave it for another day. I've just checked the temperature of the second tin. They are to prove I'm using 2 tins. They're there, and it's coming out at 21.5, and the temperature in the kitchen is 22.7. So we're now on the power bank. Power bank switched on. Neons come on. I'll snap the lid shut, and what we'll do this time, we'll check it in 15 minutes. Right, we're 15 minutes in. Let's get this open and check the temperature. We have a bit of steam. Run it around in the mix. 48, 50, still rising. 53, 54, 58. It's dropped down to 55, so it's topping out at about 55 degrees. 42 in the meat, so we'll give it another 10-15 minutes. I wasn't expecting it to be anywhere near as fast on 12 volt, so we'll snap that back on, and I'll bring you back in another 10 minutes. Right, I'm back after 10 minutes. Lid off. Still not feeling too hot. $55, $57, $58, $59, $60, $61. Still going up slowly. 62, 62.1, 62.3. It's sort of leveling out. I'm just going to try the meat. The meat's at 51. It's not doing it a lot of favours taking the lid off all the time, but how are you supposed to test it? Yeah, the meat's at round about 50 to 51 degrees C. So, back on another 15 minutes. Right, that's a further 15 minutes, so we're now up to 40 minutes. Let's have a check. That's hot. Sauce has hit 69, 78, 88, 82, 83, 85. Let's try the meat. 68, 63. That's messing around a bit. 55, round up for 55. So I'm going to give it another 15 minutes. So we're at 40 minutes. Let's close the lid. Well, that's it. And I'll see you in 15 minutes. Right, we're back. We're now at, what's it, 50 minutes in total. Take this off. That's a lot hotter now. Sauce is rising nicely. We're up to 67, 69, 70. So we've gone over the magic figure. Up in the 80s now. 81, 82, 83. So the sauce is very 84, 85. Still going up. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try the meat before it cools down. Meat's just over 70, so that is good enough. I would probably give that another 10 minutes to round it off to the hour, but yep, it's taken an awful lot longer than the 240 volt, but we knew it would. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to wrap up the test, get back into my living room, and we'll do a full appraisal in there. So, time to sum up. Well, on the 240 on the mains. That was incredibly impressive. I mean, I didn't think about checking it after 10 minutes, and after 15 minutes it was piping hot, well up in the 80s plus degrees C. So absolutely outstanding. And in all fairness, I had a similar box several years ago when I was a gas compliancy inspector, and I used to have to stay at a lot of hotels overnight, and I used to take that with me. But 90% of the time I did use it by plugging it into the mains in the hotel room. So my experience with one of these boxes before has 90% of the time been directly off the mains, not off the cigarette charger in the car or off a power bank. Now, running off my power bank, and this knowingly drawing 70 watts per hour, it took 50 minutes to get it to a reasonable temperature. It was in the 80s, 80 degrees C, and the meat was just over the 70s. So I would really, I've left it on now, I would probably leave it on for the full hour. So what you've got to remember is that if you leave it on for an hour, you are using 70 watts hours of your battery life. So if you've got quite a sort of low output power station, you'll be using a lot of it. So this test over the 50 minutes used 58.8 watts of power from the power bank. Now, power station. Now, this power station I've got is quite old. I've had it about 4 years. It's suited my needs up to now. It's a 300 watt on the inverter, and it's 277 watts on the 12 volt. So I've used sort of maybe a quarter. On there it shows I've used one bar of the power. But obviously, if you've got a much bigger power station, which I probably will personally get, this has suited my needs up till now. But if I do go into the micro camper side, which I'm looking at, then I will need a much more powerful power station. But it's still not too bad, really. I mean, you've got a couple of things to consider. Would this be right for you if you was in a camper van or something like that? This test is just at one temperature. The kitchen is quite warm because the central heating's on, so it's at 22 degrees. The actual tins of food are an ambient temperature. They're sort of 19 to 20 degrees. Where if you imagine if you're in a camper van and you're out and it's in the winter, your food could be a lot colder, and the temperature around it could be a lot colder. So this could take a considerably lot longer time to actually reheat your food. Now, one thing this isn't, it isn't a cooker. It's not going to cook your food. It will reheat. So if you're taking frozen food and you're trying to do something from frozen, I wouldn't like to even think how long that would take to actually heat up. So you would have to use your common sense. If you were taking frozen food and you knew you were going to have something later in the evening, you'd have to get it out and let it defrost first and hopefully bring it up to a safe temperature. You don't want it roasting hot in the sun before you put it into this. But for me, I think this will work out. But, I could have stuck that tin on a little stove or and heated it up in seconds. I'm just thinking more long term. If I take stews and things like that and I'm just ambling around the camper and I can just put it in there and not worry about it, I could literally leave it well past the time it takes to heat up. So, it's your call. I mean, definitely brilliant for hotels. I think I'll get some use out of it. But, that's the best I can do with it. I mean, that's the two tests, and I hope you've found this video informative. I'm quite impressed with it, to be honest. So I'm looking forward to using it when I'm out and about. I did sort of say about that even going with my early morning hikes or kayaking, when I drive sort of 70, 80 miles, maybe an hour or 2 hours drive, I might even plug it in with a breakfast in it so that when I get to the destination, because I've left really early, I can have a hot meal before I set off. So there's lots of sort of options for using it. Now, one thing I am thinking of doing with this little bag is just cutting a nice little slit in the side of it, because it is insulated or slightly insulated, so I might cut a little slit and even like stitch it up so it doesn't fray. And what I could do then is I could have the box in the bag with the power cable going through and connecting to it, so that would actually keep this at a slightly warmer temperature. So, you know, there is options for that. You haven't just got to leave it out like that in the freezing cold. You could put it in there and that would raise it a few degrees, would help out. Well, that's it, folks. That's my test done, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I mean, it's not a full-out outdoorsy video, but it is something that I will use outdoors, and maybe you can. So, yeah, I hope you found the video informative, and if you are looking at, or have looked at these boxes, maybe this gives you more of an insight on how they work. This is a slightly larger one. Remember, that was only a 400-gram tin. There's a lot more space in there. That's 1.8 litres. And that would take a lot longer to warm and heat up. So, but, you know, I've done my best, and I just hope that you've found the video useful. Well, if you have enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, give it a like. And if you're a subscriber, thank you once again for watching. Maybe you weren't particularly interested in this one. You'd prefer to see me out and about, but obviously I'll be getting out very soon. If you haven't subscribed to the channel and you're enjoying it, plenty of videos there of all sorts, mainly kayaking of recent, but I will be getting out doing some more walking. And as I said, next year I've got plans for micro camping, all sorts going on in my mind. So please consider subscribing. Anyway, that's it for now, folks. See you on the next video. Bye for now.